Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. I'm your host, Big Les. Make sure if you haven't already to subscribe to the YouTube, click the notification bell, and make sure you don't miss any of that great content. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure you go ahead and get stuck into those as well. But today we're going to be going through our wingers, our top 5 wingers going into the 2025 season. It is going to be a real interesting and a little bit controversial list. I know that all of these lists, no matter what I do, no matter what player goes where, there's always going to be one or two people that would change one thing or, that can't believe of one selection. I've got one of those picks here. That might be a little bit controversial, that's for sure. But let's go into our top 5 wingers for 2025. Let's start off with number 5. For me, it's Dom Young. Now, I think defensively and also just in the air and awareness-wise, he's got a few things to fix up in his game. But, talent-wise, what he can do in attack, what we've seen him do in the performances that we've seen him have, he is at his very best. Definitely in the top 5 for wingers going into 2025. He's got so much potential. I don't think we've seen the ceiling of Dom Young. And once these little, inaccuracies in his game are fixed and these little pointers in his game are fixed, like his defense, for me, in the air, he's got a bit to fix up. Just awareness, for me, is a big thing for Dom Young. Once all of those little pointers are fixed, he's going to be one of the better wingers in the competition. And I think that he's certainly a top 5 winger at his best in 2025. Number 4 for me. Now, this one is going to turn a few heads for sure. But look, I have high hopes for this guy, and I think that if he has a really strong start to the season, especially if Billy Slater in this Queensland side is looking to change things up a little bit after last year's loss, this guy will be a shoo-in in the back line, and that's Xavier Savage. Really excited to see how he comes and approaches 2025, how he comes into this year and approaches the year. Really talented player. We saw that last year, had a massive season on the wing. Obviously came through as a fullback. We thought he was going to be the next fullback for the Raiders, and obviously plans change. Guys like Chevy Stewart came to the Raiders as well from the Sharks and has been in that system for a little while now. But also we've got guys like KO Weeks who have come in and played very well in that position as well, and doesn't look like Raiders fans want anyone else other than KO Weeks in that fullback jersey at the moment. So Xavier Savage, he's going to kill it on the wing there, and if he really locks down that spot, he makes it his own in 2025, that left wing spot next to either a Matt Timoko, whoever it might be, a Seb Chris. If he really plays well there and owns it, and he plays the footy that we saw from him in 2024, then 2025 could be a year where we see Xavier Savage sit on the left wing for State of Origin for Queensland. I think that is his, I wouldn't say it's his ceiling. I think that he has so much raw potential. Again, just a guy with a few little pointers in his attacking game and his running style that could be fixed. But he is certainly a guy it just reeks of Origin. I think that he will definitely be one of those guys that potentially lands on one of those wing spots, real smoky. Maybe it might be a little bit of a Guru Ruben Cotter call from a few years back. But I'm really backing this guy to make a name for himself this year and potentially play some Origin football. Number 3, for me at least, talent-wise, at their best, what we can see from them at their best, Jacob Kiraz. Really loved what I saw from him in 2024. Really strong season, aerially great, can play centre or wing, very versatile in that regard, can also play a bit of fullback too. Great ball skills, running wise as well. He is just an absolute powerhouse and freak. Got some real nice legs on him, and there's a really, really nice finisher as well. So he ticks a lot of boxes for me, Jacob Kiraz. There's not too many things he needs to fix up in his game. Again, with Laurie Daly coming in for Origin as well, for me, that right wing spot, it's going to be a real shit fight between Lomax, Kiraz, Stretch as well, Campbell Graham, Stephen Crichton, these sort of guys. That right wing spot is up for grabs. If Jacob Kiraz wants to grab that with 2 hands and he wants to play the best football of his career, I certainly think that he could own that spot. I really do. I'm looking at a big season here from Jacob Kiraz. Looking for a big season from Campbell Graham as well. But Jacob Kiraz, for me, in my opinion, he's going to have a huge year for the Bulldogs. So I think that he will definitely be one of the top wingers in the competition if he wasn't last year. Number 2, I don't know how this guy isn't much higher rated in the competition, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just not hearing his praises being sung, but Ronaldo Mulitalo, fuck me, he is very close to being one of the better wingers in the competition. If Brian Toto didn't exist, he'd be the best winger currently in the competition form-wise. He is a gun. He can do so much with the football in hand. He literally is a reincarnated Jordan Rapiner. He's such a great bloke off the field as well. But on the field, he's just the ultimate competitor. Really nice ball skills, can play a number of positions. I think he could cover well at fullback if you needed him there. I think he can play in the centres, and I think that's where he'll probably end up in the future as well if you need him there. He is an absolute weapon, Ronaldo Mulitalo. Only 24, 25 years of age, so still got plenty of football in front of him. I think that he is one of the better wingers in the competition, and I think that people will start singing his praises a lot more with the Sharks look set to go better and be a little bit more consistent in 2025. Obviously with Hines potentially moving into the number 6 role. That even for me is even better. You get Nico Hines potentially parked on that left or just roaming both sides of the ruck like a second fullback, setting up guys like Ronaldo Mulitalo. That just makes my mouth fucking foam. It makes me foam at the mouth. I'm so keen for the Sharkies football in 2025, and Ronaldo Mulitalo is a big part of that. Great finisher. I think he is one of the better wingers, or at least in my list, the second best winger in the competition going into next year. At his best, he is phenomenal. And then number 1, Brian Toto. I think this is pretty obvious. Just the work that he gets through every single game. He's just running out of yardage as well and getting the ball out of yardage on those first and second tackle carries. It is some of the best work we see from wingers, if not the best that we've ever seen. I think that he could go down as one of the best wingers we've ever seen as well in the game. 4 premierships on his belt now, and being a key part of all of those premierships too, with the work that he gets through every single game. One of the hardest working wingers in the game, and literally the best winger in the game, or at least of this modern era. So Brian Toto, he sits there at number 1. So my list going through it: Brian Toto at number 1, Ronaldo Mulitalo at number 2, Jacob Kiraz at number 3, Xavier Savage at number 4, and Dom Young at number 5. I think that's a fair list. I think that I'm going to get flogged in the comments for the Xavier Savage call, but I think that he definitely deserves to be there. And as I said, he reeks Origin for me. So if he has a good year, I'm sure that Billy Slater will definitely be keeping an eye on Mr. Savage there at the Canberra Raiders. Honourable mentions, guys that we haven't spoken about in this list going into next year. Just trying to think of the top of my head who else is sort of in this conversation or sort of poking at this list. Forgive me, having a little bit of a think here. Guys like Sania Taruva, to get through his work. He was a key part of last year's premiership success as well. He had some great work coming out of his own end. Really dangerous. I'm keen to see if he gets any time at fullback throughout the year. If there's injury at the Tigers, I'm sure that he will. He's a great fullback. He's a great winger as well. But people forget that he came through as a fullback too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there at the Tigers. But I'm really excited to see how Sania Taruva goes over there. Other guys that jump out at me as wingers, you're looking at guys like Tyrone Munro. I think he's in for a huge season. I don't think he's going to really leap out of the ground and be one of the better wingers in the competition straight away. But he'll be close. He'll be one of the real guys to look out for in that South Sydney Rabbitohs side. Really excited to see the football that he plays. And if Souths are humming, which I think they will be, he'll be a key part of that big Ty Munro. Having a little bit of a think here. Sorry, I've got a little bit blank, and it's the perfect time for it too, as I'm trying to go through some honourable mentions here. Tyrone Munro, Sania Taruva. Who else is there? Just going through all the sides of my head. Sione Katoa's always up there for the Sharkies. Try-scoring ability is outstanding. You've got guys like... if Lomax was a winger, he'd be there, but obviously moving into the centres, so he's not in this list. I think that's it, to be honest. Guys that are poking out the top 5, and I'll probably get grilled if I, miss someone there. Greg Marzu, again, I don't think he's in the top 5 conversation, but he could be in for a big year depending on how the Knights go. Don't think they're going to go well, though, so that's going to be an interesting one. I think I've covered it, to be honest. I think I've covered it there. Toto, Mulitalo, Jacob Kiraz, Xavier Savage, Dom Young, honourable mentions, Tyron Munro from the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and Tania Taruva from the West Tigers. Who have you got in this list? How have I gone? Have I gone horribly right? Have I gone horribly wrong? Let me know in the comments section below. And also, let us subscribe to the podcast, guys. Become a part of the big LEZ'S League community. Make sure to go ahead and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of this great content. Over the next few days, we've got one of these coming out every day this week. I think it's 6 or 7 parts, so you're pretty much getting content every day of the week with these rankings. And then the following week, you'll start to get those season previews as well. We're getting them all recorded throughout the week, which is why we've got these rankings coming out this week. So I've got a bit of time to edit up and get those season previews your way. But make sure to subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Get amongst it. We'll see you guys in the next one.